Mulan is directed by Niki Caro and is the latest in a long line of Disney live-action remakes of their 90s classics. Based off of the original 90s movie Mulan, this follows a young girl in China going off to join the army to save the emperor from a new threat and bring honour to their family. This has been released on Disney Plus for a new premium access of $19.99 here in the UK, and whether or not this is worth the money, let's find out. My history with the Disney live-action remakes is, for the most part, largely negative. There's only two off the top of my head that I can really hand on heart say that I enjoyed and I found new and inventive. That is the Lady and the Tramp remake that was also released on Disney Plus last year, as well as the Jungle Book done by Jon Favreau. Now, for me, the biggest problems with these movies is that usually they're either a word-for-word copy, in that case, why bother, or that they're very, very egregious in how they stretch the runtimes. You know, these Disney classics were obviously quite short, around, say, the 80-minute or the hour-and-a-half mark, and these are obviously having to be dragged out into a good 2-hour showing. Now, the good news is, for me and Mulan 2020, is as Mulan 2020, I actually thought it was a pretty decent movie. It does neither of the biggest things that I find most egregious with these remakes. So it is neither a word-for-word copy of the original. There are some little bits that sort of stretch out character interactions, and it's neither egregious in doing that stretching. The runtime is about 2 hours, and I think that's a well-rounded movie that we get towards the end. Now, for me, obviously, there are some big comparisons to the original Mulan. And, unfortunately, I do have to say, when comparing it to the original Mulan, it is widely inferior to the original in a lot of big ways. So, the biggest one, obviously, being the central character arc for Mulan. Slight spoilers for Mulan 2020. Before I discuss it, I'll just give you a second to skip forward a few seconds. So the main character arc for Mulan in the original is obviously that she is wanting to bring honor to her family, save her father, and go off to war with the Chinese army. That follows that she has to obviously train and become the warrior. But in Mulan 2020, there's a lot of talk that Mulan has a certain level of chi, like an innate ability to just perform well and be the warrior. So I think that's a far less compelling story, that she's almost born into these abilities, instead of the idea of anyone, even a woman and even a woman of colour, can train and work hard to be a hero. Now, talking of Mulan, the other biggest problem that I had with Mulan 2020 is the actress that plays Mulan. I didn't find much of a presence. I forget her name now, but every other cast member I found investing and charismatic and likeable. But until, like, the final third, Mulan herself is very much not a presence in this movie, in my opinion. Now, that could be indicative of a character arc, a deliberate choice that they're making, from the shy, innocent Mulan at the beginning to her letting out her powers at the end. But if your main protagonist is pretty much a no-show for the first 2/3 of the movie, then I'm going to have a little bit of problem with it. Now, there are some big things I really enjoyed about this movie. One, that it is fantastically directed by Niki Caro, and it is a stunning production. I'm really disappointed, like a lot of other reviewers out there, that I have not been able to see this on the big screen. I had to watch it at home on my TV, because this deserved a wider release. I know obviously COVID put a stop to that, but this deserved a wider release to see it on the biggest screen possible. Also, the score and the music was fantastic, utterly phenomenal, and it really helped draw me into a lot of the establishing shots at the beginning of scenes, where it's obviously wide, looking at the landscape of early China. And this movie has fantastic action. Principally, that what it does that a lot of other movies haven't, a lot of these remakes hasn't, is that it's a dark Disney movie, okay? Instead of going for the lighter tones, there's no Eddie Murphy as Mushu. It goes for Mulan is a war movie, which principally it was. This has some really, really cutthroat action, some violence, and probably isn't for the younger viewers that Disney you normally try to target. Also, the CGI is limited, which is a good thing and a bad thing. The CGI in the fights are quite well done, but then other times in slight shots that are less than like half a second, it doesn't look very well done. But overall, looking at Mulan 2020 as Mulan 2020, I had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was all right. The cast, apart from Mulan, was very good. It was not egregious in how it stretched its runtime, and it wasn't a word-for-word copy of the original. It was doing something fresh and new with the Disney remakes. But all the choices they made that were different, or at odds with the original, were very much inferior to the original. The comparison is obviously going to be there, and when you do compare it to the original Mulan, it is widely inferior. So those are my thoughts on Mulan 2020. Have you seen it? What do you think about it? Will you be paying the $19.99 to get it on Disney Plus Premier Access, or will you be waiting until December when it gets on there for free? Let me know. Let's have a discussion about it. I've been Matt with An Idiot's Guide to Entertainment, and look forward to my view of Tenet coming very, very soon.